play on the day, but we are going live once again. Season 42 of ETF2L. We are in Division 1. It's the quarterfinals. Hounds versus Swift. We're rolling out the Granary. We're going to mid, baby.
Yeah, let's see what this mid fight brings here. I have seen these teams on this map before. Let's see what this time around it will look like. Rolling up to the mid fight here. Damage being exchanged a little bit. Nothing too crazy just yet. It's going to be taking until lift up for the soldiers for something drastic to happen here. Maddie trying to land behind him. He takes attention away, but can this actually open things up? Peter tries to work off that, and everyone else tries to cross point, but the soldiers just very quickly taken care of, and suddenly it's just a complete turnaround. All of Swift just all across point. No mercy.
Oh, Yon finds some pipes in the end there onto Yard, and that is a complete wipe for Swift there. They did such a good job taking away those soldiers. They didn't really do that much. The bombs coming in and just allowed Swift to walk across with those two soldier picks, and the cleanup afterwards as well is so nice. Now they have a giant advantage at Granary, 100%, but Swift, they have to capture second. They have to capture mid first. They're gonna set up on the second. They still have a huge advantage. Now they have time to set up, but more importantly, I think honestly, so do the Hounds. They have to set up something. They've got a heavy going on right now, but Swift, they're trying to sort of figure out where they want to go. It looks like maybe just top is the answer. Poison and Danny up there already. There's one P to DC holding on the pipe. It looks like now they're posturing around a corner. They're getting ready to go here.
Yeah, this has to do it. You can't waste these opportunities. They're taking the time to rotate whichever way they want. It's just a left or in the end. Yon not quite getting the jump he wants, but they're scouting out everything they need to. Sword on the high ground, forced off, PTDC trying to take the fight with Poison, hit some nice rockets there onto him, and Sneaky back to back. And if that doesn't just call it quits on this push, I don't know what will. He has so much damage with the heavy in the back still as well. However, Shappy really wants to keep up the fight there near the shutter door, does not back up at all, gets the nice little demo kill. And with Iroh, obviously, the medic here on red, going down at the beginning of all this as well. It's gonna be tough to really establish position on second for the red team.
Yeah, I mean, the Hounds can't really get in. They got that medic, they lost that medic. Iroh went down to the pipe from Yon, which means that now Swift, they can play this back a little bit, just on second, build up this Uber advantage. Actually, not as big as I thought it'd be. Only about 30 ad for Granary right now. Not really building it too well, but the sniper is up on Loopy here. It's going to maybe try to find a kill onto Sneaky. Doesn't quite get the pick, and now it's interesting because the sniper should have been called. You can see they're rotating up top already, trying to get through, and the sniper's watching this position as they're trying to go in here. Swift still building up, but they're spending a while going forwards now. Doug sitting at about 90% Iroh. He could just juke this a little bit longer as well. Peter DC takes out a frag in the backline, doesn't get the kill, but it's been enough to delay. The Uber came out of Granary, but they found absolutely nothing on Swift's side, so they're going to have to walk back. And now the Uber is coming in out of Iroh and Fancy. So much damage onto second. The health bars on Swift are tiny, but there's no kills being found so far. But there we go. Yon is taken down as well. Poison is 6 HP up on top. Danny in the drop down as well, and should just be a second cap. Potentially middle contest here as well for the Hounds.
Yeah, with the kills on the spawn time as it's looking right now, the momentum is there. You have to beat out the Uber so you don't fall the same fate your opponents did, just now just leaving too late and staying in front of the Uber for too long. Looks like that, however, will just be working out fine for them. Swift just now getting the spawners up. Don't have the Uber yet. There's a chance they just might contest quickly here as well, but it's once again a tough call to make here. Iroh is certainly down on Uber, but the second is coming up. This is getting dicey. They're staying so close, trying to not give them space, but it's a trade to start things off with, and now they gotta run for their lives. Shappy on the hunt, but things are being slowed down pretty rapidly by a little bit of a back cap, I think.
Yeah, that back cap out of 2 players, Peter DC and Loopy, does so much work. The Uber wasn't even that good. Honestly, Shappy going in there doesn't really find any kills. The AMS Uber doesn't make much work. They found a kill to Loopy now, but it's still a Peter DC behind. And because they popped the Uber, they didn't get the force out of Iroh. It's a giant advantage for the Hounds now. They have such a good opportunity to push here. They have a kill onto Danny as well, but they're playing it really careful onto second right now. As, I mean, obviously, Swift, they like this. It's taking them a long time to position here. They're not going for this just yet. They're just sitting back on second. Granary now, 75. Once again, he could just kite this out, but there we go. The Uber's coming in. On to the high ground here. It's decent damage on the soldiers, but no real frags have been found. Poison now maybe just getting taken down, but Gregory's 95. He's so close, and the Uber has popped out now, and the kills onto the red team are coming out. They're getting cleaned up. It's just Ollie, and it's just Iroh left alive. They haven't linked up just quite yet, but they're going to be running back out. The Uber advantage, because the scout wasn't with them there, it's not even that big. He's going to have to sit back on second here.
That was just a nice little teamwork moment there. The Uber came out of Granary already. Poison was back turn shooting the guys forcing him to begin with, but and Medic just covers his back quite literally there. Just gets the flash going on people that the Poison from that position on couldn't see anymore on the other side of the point. Saves his teammates' lives nicely. In all that, gets them going the other way around now, all the way back outside second into the yard already. Uber advantage will dwindle now, but it's still very much good progress made by Swift. Get this all the way out of last to this position here. Still tied at nothing, so not much loss yet, but a little bit of time spent for this. So all to play for still on Swift's end, but it's an awkward stalemate a lot of time. The team on mid, arguably in pretty much every map in this scenario, on the midpoint, has the better end of the stalemate to play from. But what are they going to do with this one? Peter tries to sneak through for now, but can't get very far. But there we go. Matty trying to actually get in with the real play. Still not quite enough. Gets so close to the medic, but they're covering him very nicely.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they just didn't really quite manage to get that final rocket onto Granary, and instead now 2 soldier kills, which means that Swift are just going to walk in through middle. Decent damage onto Loopy as well, means that Hounds is really playing far back as finally the Uber comes out, and it's 2 kills. Sneaky and Yon, crucially, both go down, and this is really hard now in the post-Uber for Swift, and Gregory's so low. He's stuck in the enemy ramp room, and how does he get away with this? It's a kill onto Poison. They're trying to save Private Ryan. Shappy is getting a kill onto Doug here. Iroh gets taken down, and now Ollie, he gets the kill onto Gregory. Instead, it's still just Shappy running around in the ramp room. He maybe finds one more. Peter, actually, Matty goes down, and now Shappy, he just has to keep on going. Loopy trying to find the frag, but Shappy's found another one in the back line. He's found so many, and on his own, he keeps the team in the round. They lose their medic. It looks so scrappy, but he just finds all the kills, and in the end, it's Swift just keeping up on the middle there.
He keeps going as well. He almost just got the mat with all this too. All in the meanwhile, like the tiniest, well, not really tiny, but a very not impactful air shot. Guy would have created for Danny on the midpoint. Takes down the soldier with that as well. It just keeps going and going and going. There's no end in sight here just yet, because the Hounds are not done with this business just yet. They see Shappy down. This is an open invitation for them into the midpoint, but little big damage by Yon, big damage by the bomb, but it's Fancy getting the kills in the end.
But it's 2 scouts down for the Hounds, which means they don't really have an ability to run that medic through. Yon is dead though, and that's so much spam damage that is not there for Swift, which means that the Hounds, they kind of like their positioning here. Honestly, there's no high ground on the side of Swift. It's 2 scouts versus a soldier, and they're finally going to back off here. Even Ubers, that was very close, especially with Yon going down there. Had he been alive, I mean, that would have been a lot of dead red players.
Alright, things calm down for the first time in a minute. Both Ubers up now on each of these teams. And this one could be a dicey one now. Now it's Swift with the better mid position. Do they have any better ideas than the Hounds did with this stalemate? Loopy certainly still playing close and just very aggressive with this as well. Really tries to force someone to react down. He takes so much damage. Lucky to be getting out alive out of the choke point. That is asking for some trouble if you're going this deep in the middle of a stalemate on a choke point like this. But then they know it actually was just fine in the end. But who's going to make the first move now? This is going to be a rough one in the new... It's not that new anymore, right? It's been so long now. With the time limits we have now in a stalemate like this, you're gonna have to make a move eventually.
Yeah, but there's still 3 minutes, and it's so hard to get in onto yard like this. You can see the amount of damage that Fancy can do just shooting one corner with pipes and stickies, and it makes it really difficult for anyone on Swift to really get through. Choke as well, it's stickied up with Loopy watching that. It's like, I mean, Danny can try to go in, but we saw what happened when the Hounds tried to do it. You just kind of get shot down by scouts. It's really difficult to bomb a soldier, and sneaking a scout in is also probably not going to happen. It's a really difficult angle, honestly. Most of the time, a lot of teams just resort to the sniper here. You can see they actually backed out to middle. Not feeling comfortable in ramp room anymore. Maybe just trying to get the Hounds to come to them. But the Hounds as well, just perfectly content to sit on second, to sit on their yard. As they finally rotate over to choke him. But you see how close Fancy is. He does so much damage, but he might actually just get taken down. He's so low. It's a single Danny sack in, and he gets a demo kill, which should be enough to push the massive damage out of Poison as well. It means that the positioning for the Hounds is not that good, but in the meantime, PTTC is behind, and he does decent enough damage. It means that Swift have to back off the middle to pick him off, and it gives the Hounds a little bit more time to sort of regroup, reposition themselves in onto second. Fancy is still not up, but Loopy is behind, as he might try to go for something here. All of Swift now on yard. They can't really get into second so far, it seems like, but Loopy biding his sweet time right now.
Yeah, this is Lupi's favorite position in the game. He loves being behind and wait for these big plays, but lucky to not get spotted yet. Really careful with the timing. And you don't know, his team is just going in, they're not waiting at all, and just making people get forced into the scout, and not in the fashion he intended, not like back first into him, but face first, running away from the Uber. Immediately catch him right away, and that's just Uber gone for negative value. They used Uber, they were invincible, they lost players, and now they're stuck on last with nothing to show for. Granary on full Uber, they don't even have to pop through, no sniper on side, just the heavy in the back. They can push up against this for quite a while before having to use so much cap time already on the blue team here. Matty goes down trying to defend as everyone else just forced back into spawn by the Uber. Will go down trying to block this, but they cannot succeed against Swift's last push here.
Really nice follow-up from Swift there. They got the force out in second. The Hounds didn't really get anything off of their Uber push. So instead, they had to back off onto last. They didn't have a lot of time because Swift were quick. They knew they had the advantage, and that was enough for them to get that capture onto last. So now, it's a 1-0. It's still 20 minutes. A lot of time to play for here. But Swift getting off to a very good start here. But so is Fancy doing decent damage to Yon already on this middle. Sitting across right now, spam being exchanged, no immediate bombs. There we go, P to DC, and Eazien are in the sky, but it's actually a kill into Granary already. Matty will happily trade his life for that, but in the meantime, Iroh's going to go down as well. It's a lot of kills onto a lot of players here. Loopy fighting in ramp room, gets one kill into Sneaky. Can he get onto Shappy? He can, and there's a 3k for him so far. Poison now on the high ground, just going to find him. Ollie in the back line on to top, trying to get onto Yon, and he finds him. The roller doesn't quite kill him, and it's just Poison left alive, bombing his scout on low ground, gets the kill, but in the end it's Fancy staying on middle. Very close stuff. No team really honestly coming out on top.
Yeah, in the end, just the age-old factor of having the scouts alive in the end just matters so much. Everyone's already really weak. It's just a field day for the scouts to pick up some kills, and Loopy, especially at the beginning of that, just clutching out some kills against the scout in the 1v1, basically making a huge difference here. Maddie with jump to choke, expecting him to run in for round 2, and he is dead right on the money. That's gonna be a nice big advantage that they can't punish now. They lost Sneak in the meantime. There's nothing they can do about this other than maybe have someone hide somewhere, and even that's hoping for the best in the ultimately really bad situation now.
Yon down to 80 HP as well, which means he didn't really have time to set many traps and just have some above second, and you know those traps are going to be there if you are Hound. So instead, they're just going to walk into ramp room right now. I actually just threw on top here. They've just gone through lunchbox already. They're so far forwards. So now Granary, he's sat on top. Shappy finds a single snipe kill onto Ollie. Decent start, but the scout kill's not what you want. You really want that medic. But you can see now Iroh walking forwards here. The Uber's coming out. The Hounds only actually lose Peter. They still haven't killed this gun. It finally goes down. But look at where Swift are. They're all in spawn. They just have Danny bombing onto the point, but he just gets taken down immediately. Finding Shappy's there. And so is the Heavy. Fancy is stuck in behind, and he gets cleaned up by the Heavy. And unfortunately, the focus firing. The Hounds not quite able to capitalize off of the positioning that they got. And in the end, I mean, Swift, they managed to hold it.
That was incredibly clutch by the Blue Soldiers. They were denied by Soldier initially up top to try to rotate back the point, but they'd only got one of them, not the second one, and they couldn't clean up the second kill. That just blocked the cap for long enough to get them out of here. Yon eating a lot of damage on entry. They will eventually cave, put out the Uber in front of the red team here, but they're getting so close to the medic. He doesn't get around the corner for the pack. He's going to get taken down. Loopy in the backline once again, as he does, taking all the attention to himself, and now on the rest of the team to do something with this, but they're not very quick with this. They all already left. He needed to do this much sooner for any of this to work now, but as it stands, it's 2 down with no heals on the Hounds. It's going to be a tough stay on mid if they don't find a force in immediately on the medic.
Sticky's out of Fancy, does nothing, and Danny finds him instead, which means now it's no demo. They have a giant disadvantage, and they just have this sniper in forwards here. It's Kindred. He's going to have to try and hit something here. Or actually Loopy, sorry. I got distracted. I thought it was Kindred. No. It's Loopy. Loopy's sniping in forwards, and he's trying to make this work. He's going to have to hit a big shot here, because Granary has a giant advantage so far. Iroh only 60. If he builds really quickly, he could potentially have this for last, should the Hounds be able to stall it for a little bit. But you can see they just take a lunchbox on Swift, and it's just Matty sitting on top as well. It does decent damage, but the Uber should just be coming straight onto last. Iroh's 90.
Alright, here it is. The Uber's already in though. Iroh still running for his life. Bomb on the double bin. Really nice pick. Danny gets the arrow airshot, not the pipe. Will stay alive. There's people for the red team coming out though. They're only 1 down. He can make up for this really quickly, especially with some nice, good damage early on. People just hoping too badly they would be able to beat out this Uber here. Shappy going in for funny wraparound there, but no one's falling for it. they just wait for him going back to point and take him out immediately. Push on to second should be pretty much a foregone conclusion with these 3 kills in their favor. All of Swift just falling back, meeting up with the spawn somewhere around mid. Ooh, and getting an Ollie kill on the way. That man's getting a little bit ahead of himself.
Yeah, Ollie just got kind of sent to the Shadow Realm by Yon, just absent-mindedly firing a pipe and a sticky bomb, and he just gets deleted instantly. No scout down, or 1 scout down rather, for the Hounds. Means they're gonna have to slow down a little bit, especially because Loopy is getting manhandled there by Danny in the ramp room, as Sneaky as well follows up, and now Loopy's really, really low. No scout health really on the side of the Hounds, means that the aggression has to be a little bit more careful here. They do manage to get the Uber. It's even Ubers pretty much now. Zyro for 95 should be getting it shortly, and now we're back. The classic situation of how do you break onto a Granary yard if you are
But
Swift.
that question, who is the one breaking Granary yard? The Hounds, by all technicality, could afford to go to the time limit. Swift is in the lead. Obviously, playing it slow a little bit is in their favor here, but you don't want to lose mid for no reason. So it's going to be an awkward chicken game right now to see who's going to make the, maybe not first move, but the more decisive one. A lot of action towards choke. No one's really committing just yet. Everyone's just feeling out how far they can get anything going towards the choke point. But there we go. Danny's actually trying to take this all the way. Here's some nice shots. Unfortunately, 3 people are shooting him in the meantime, so that won't get very far.
I believe the camera was showing Matty AZN just kind of playing in the ground for a second.
This game is really good. It's not the first time it's happened, surprisingly. That is a common occurrence these days. Thank you, Val, for fixing the game.
If playing TF2 for a while has taught me anything, it's that I don't want Valve to update the game. Because every time they do, something breaks. My config is in shambles. I have to update it again. Sneaky now is dead, which means there's a single kill here for the Hounds. They can try to peek through choke here. Honestly, the time is kind of running out. 13 seconds, but it's so much damage out of Swift. Danny and Poison combined to find 3 frags. Peter DC got in and he got the force out on Granary. But there's so many players down in Swift. Honestly, they just want to take this anyway, purely off of the player advantage. They can get the force now. It's absolutely massive for them. The advantage goes back in their favor. They're on to second already. The sticky's out of Fancy Elf. I don't know how much they do. Honestly, the positioning out of Danny on high ground as well. He's going to walk through top, in onto the ramp, bombing onto the medic. Iroh just doesn't see him yet, and he gets the force. Now Swift are running for the hills. Really nice play out of them, and it's a giant advantage for them as well.
I don't know, I feel like you can't afford to stay there not expecting to play like this, right? It's the only way they get in, other than just directly in front of you through Shutter. Seems a little bit reckless here. If you want to go for something, you might probably just go directly with Double Scout, hope for the best here. They're still going for the best that they have. Decent effort already. Good rocket on the Peter DC, getting to the medic, getting the Devil Man as well. But once again, as successful as this one might have been, they're finding themselves 3 down. Gonna worry once more, but if they get out of it this time unscathed with the men alive, they're gonna have huge ad unlike last time.
I think crucially this time, Yon is not alive and the health on Shappy is really bad. Which means that he's all the way on second just waiting for Granary to respawn and then not going for any play here. No Demo Man means that it's a lot harder to push in onto Yard. You just don't have that spam damage. So instead, they're going to be sitting back on the middle and it's going to give Iroh this giant advantage here. 90, 100% for him already. As they're walking into choke here, the Hounds. There's one Danny on top, but he's been spotted immediately. He has the bomb right back out and now the damage comes out of Yon just a little bit. But really nice coordinated damage there from Peter, and Matty gets a kill onto Danny. It's a super nice opening kill. One back cap though out of Sneaky, lives up to his name and he's getting the back cap. I actually don't know if he gets this. It is being stacked by the Hounds. I'm pretty sure they just do get the cap, and they do. They know there's a player behind. They've actually sent back Loopy to deal with it as well, but in the meantime, Granary has managed to build it up. They've used this distraction because they had to stack. The Hounds couldn't push forwards and instead is now even. Pushing in onto Yard, this can be really difficult. So much damage can come out of Yon, but the bomb out of Peter DC is so fast. They get a kill onto Shappy as well, and it's so many kills. 2 scouts dead already, Peter down as well, and Yon has an Uber charge, but he doesn't have second anymore. The Hounds, they're rotating over to right side. They just want to go in immediately. Matty on the high ground tries to get it, but Poison and Danny is setting up so far. Decent cap time already. They're just going to run a scout. Ollie is sitting on the cap pretty much uncontested, and the Hounds, they just managed to run it in all the way from middle.
So much of this for Swift relied on maybe not just the golden the backup the first time around working. That would have obviously just been huge, maybe won them the round. But the second one on mid, right? He takes 1v1 there while the 5 seconds going on. Even if he doesn't do that much, right? It eventually takes their attention away if he beats the Loopy 1v1. Couldn't do so, and they just have, like you said, 2 scouts in their favor at that point. Can just run into last uncontested, not a worry in their mind. And just keep this advantage rolling the entire way. Tie this back up with only 10 minutes left. The last third of map 1. Now it's coming down to the wire here. You only have 1 more map reset in you before time is getting dicey.
Yeah, this is, it's getting a little bit scary, especially with the pace that Granary can have. The ball amount of P2TC is fast onto Gregory, but doesn't find any kills. It doesn't really have any immediate follow-up either, because Gregory can just get onto this pack. And look at it now, there's no real positioning out of the Hounds. They're all stuck on the low ground, but does it matter? Because they're hitting all their shots. Swift, they try to collapse in, and finally Sneaky and Danny are finding some kills. But that went a lot better for the Hounds than it should have. Swift had so much better positioning, but unfortunately, they just didn't quite hit the shots. Hounds hit them, and instead now it's just poison on mid. He's not really going to do anything because he's fighting 2 scouts, and in the end he's going to go taking down the Hounds. They win that. I don't think they should have.
That's just the beauty of the game sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you're the team playing smarter, if you're just the one playing harder. And Hounds sure did this mid-fight here. Just 2 minutes later was Swift in terms of their DM department to make up the difference of team just kind of smashing them there at some point. Ultimately though, we'll see how much this matters, right? Ubers are still close to even. I got a funny little kill to Lupi there. Small things have mattered on mid before, but these repushes for Swift haven't been the greatest, so be surprised if it's good enough for them to try, but you gotta go for something at some point here. And is it gonna get much better than this? That way they decide no. Maybe they should have changed their minds a little bit. That's just a sneaky little bomb by Maddie on the medic, and it's just spiraling into full-on mid-fight from here.
Yeah, they managed to get a kill onto Iroh. It's actually 3 dead here for the Hounds. So 1 kill actually now coming out of Loopy onto Sheppy. The positioning out of Swift is absolutely terrible. It's a scout going down, and it's just poison on mid again. He gets a kill onto Ollie, but what about the rest of the team? Loopy pistols him down, and now it's Fancy walking across. That was such a scrappy fight. Both medics go down. Neither team is going to have Uber charge. Actually, basically completely even. But on the side of the Hounds, they got more picks, and so they're walking into second already.
Also, with Ice Boy, with my little eye, crit quick on Iroh, so despite it starting even, this won't end this way. Iroh will, or should have, by all means, first. He did 1v1 in the backlines as well. Loopy just forces his way behind once again, as he does. Takes another fight, this time a losing one for sure, but numbers slowly dwindling here. Doesn't matter so much with the crit speed coming up on the Hounds. They can just play around that for all eternity as long as they get the surprise factor going onto Swift that might just be completely unaware.
It's hard, right? Because the Ubers are even, right? They're sort of losing their positioning. Matty is just getting plastered down. The crits comes out now, but Fancy Bill gets 2-piped by Yon, who throws out the taunt. Maybe not the most optimal time for a taunt, because now poison bombs in as well. No, Devilman actually means that this Uber might not be the best it could be. It should be a kill onto Iroh here. Now Matty's behind. He's out of ammo as well. It's a disaster. Here's his pain train out, and that's what he's feeling as well. It's just P to DC. He's going to bomb in. A man on a mission. Gregory gets taken down because Loopy manages to find his way through ramp room, and it's a kill onto Gregory in the end. And now Iroh, he still has advantage. That crit was a disaster, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, Yon was really one of that. He out-DM'd the guy with triple the damage of himself, so that's a taunt right there. That's worth taking the L for, I guess, in the long-term round. In the end, it's still kind of fine. Maybe hard to say. They're suffering a severe disadvantage of this, and they don't even have to switch to crit streak for this time. Then he's sitting in a lamp. They're expecting something like that. In the meantime, though, well, that's just lurking. Sneaky playing really for Fort as well. The scouts not making this easy on the flank side either, but they're getting in here eventually. And how much more Swift gonna play this game with them just edging around the point? No one's really trying to step on it just now, but it's all coming down to a play by Danny getting denied to really make a decisive call for Swift to leave, let them have this, and make sure they get some defensive baseline going for what is gonna be an Uber advantage push coming their way.
They're going to have to do it a lot better than we've seen it so far. Both of their Uber advantage push so far into last have failed. They have to do a better job of it, and they're going to have to go fairly fast. Gregory, already 75%. He's going to have Uber in time. If they just slowly bait this out a little bit, they manage to stall the second push, they're going to have it for last, and it won't be that big of a deal. They can hold last. Should be fine, and wait for the Hounds to make a mistake if you're in that position. If you're holding last, the damage coming out of Yon is pretty severe here. The Hounds not quite able to get into second. This is exactly what Swift want, because now they have an Uber, they can contest in second instead of on last. And it's just a lot better for them. But in the meantime, P2DC, he's one out on the flank, and now it's 3 people in Lunchbox here. The Swift, they have to compromise the position. They can't have a soldier holding on the point anymore, and that should allow the Hounds to get in onto second and get this cap. And with the soldier kill, maybe they're gonna try to go for something, but it's gonna be difficult. How'd you get in here with this soldier frag? You just pushed so hard.
They're making it look like this anyway. Everyone's entering gas. The soldier double one coming from the right side. And hitting those rockets. Granary drops 2 down each. 3 down. They're all just falling apart here in the middle of the point. But there's just Uber standing on the cap itself for the Hounds to maybe just barely bring this one to a grandiose finish for themselves. That's gonna do it. Big double bomb you were wondering if there's going to be a just dry push, and I mean, kind of, but just realistically, it's just a huge double bomb making this work.
Yeah, that bomb on to Granary was beautiful. Managing to get that drop, and it just puts them in such a good position now, right? Because they're up 1 point here. With 5 minutes left, we've seen how slow these rounds have been, how back and forth they are. You can totally play this a lot slower on a map like Granary. Play this out makes it really difficult for Swift to get into this now. They have the pressure on them. They have to make something happen fast. On Granary, it's so difficult, but it starts with the middle here. The bombs just getting set up. Danny playing in his own ramp room here. In the meantime, Poison sitting. Neither team really honestly wants to go forward. There we go. Soldier Bomb's coming on. A lot of damage onto Matty at the end, but he's only found 1 kill into Ollie. There we go, because Gregory's gone down. The rest of the team are going to get picked up. It's just PTTC, but he's managed to find decent kills. They lose 3. They lose 4 because PTTC just pulls out the pickaxe, and this makes it really difficult. Losing Gregory like that makes it a lot harder to push this.
A little bit of mental damage, a lot of uber damage here, seeing as it's even after all this, but at least they win the mid. But the actual collapse was pretty beautiful by Swift, all things considered, but the finishing touches once again just not quite there. And now it's coming down to the wire here. Like you said, time limit is very much against him. Sneaky, born to spy, forced to scout, gonna pick up the spy class anyway. It's gonna be a tough one to make this work in this time, but I mean, hey, there's
Gregory
gifted kills already.
So they've actually got 2 frags here, which means the handle of the spy is kind of bad, right? Like, you have 2 kills, Sculptor and a scout. This means that Swift want to go in off this. The spy doesn't really have time to set up, because he has to walk through all of the avenues that the rest of his team also just wants to go in here. Someone has to extend the server time. They probably will, but the spy is setting up now. He's up on last. He has decent time. Young cloaks, but he's spotted by the sniper instead. Sneaky gets taken down. Fortunately, the spy main doesn't quite make it happen. Now it's 3.5 minutes left. Iroh has a little bit of an advantage as well. Sniper on last. Poison down. Means that the Hounds, they can just hold this. Honestly, they don't really have to push if they don't want to. They have 2 kills. They have the Uber charge, but so does Gregory. Taking a trade here might not be optimal, because it's just a solo win from Sheppy here, but he doesn't get the force yet. Doug is milking this for so long. Iroh finally pops it, but it's so disastrous here. Gregory's in the sky. He gets shot by everyone, and the bomb comes in now as well. Yon is dead. The combo is a disaster here. Danny tries to salvage, and he doesn't. It's just Sheppy in behind here. He's in Lunchbox, and they know he's here. Loopy, Ollie, both are aware of his presence. It's Scout in as well. Sneaky. He's gonna 1 forward, but he's running forwards to the pistols, and they know he's here. He doesn't do any damage. He's just on second. Both the Scouts. 1 second down by Loopy, and now Sneaky's piped down by Fantasy. 2.5 minutes for Swift to try and pick this up, but it's an advantage for Iroh, and the Hounds have middle.
I don't think you can come back from this. If you fumble like this already, this has to be a mad dash to the finish for Swift if they want to change the outcome right now. In their benefit, there's no big advantage on the Hounds, but they gotta pretty much just win this fight right now, otherwise they can just cut this already short on the midpoint alone, just hold this for the rest of time. This is gonna come down to this fight quite a bit more than they would like. And Maddie gets the sneaky attack on the medic, gets the kill right away. Backs first. Devilman is unattentive on the soldier behind. Lucky to survive that. Sneaky with the same idea as the soldiers, just right on the medic from a pop. Is that gonna make it happen though? Maybe barely so, but it's wasting so much time now.
It's actually almost a wipe here. Sheppy tried to make this happen versus Loopy, but he's not quite hitting the shot so far. It's just a scout 1v1, playing some MGE on mid, but unfortunately MGE doesn't have health packs. And now Sheppy's unprepared. He's going to try to make a break for the pack, and he doesn't get it. Loopy wins it in the end, but now Poison is in, trying to make something else happen. Loopy's in a bad position. They end up trading kills. This is kind of enough, honestly. Gregory has a little bit of an advantage. If you are Swift, you have 1.5 minutes to play for. You pretty much have to play off this 20 ad. You have to go. You have this 1 kill, but you're 2 players down yourself. How'd you get in? How'd you make this work?
This is just plus forward and just set the toggle to anything inside for your shots. Everything needs to go down quick. Time is running out. They're setting here building a little bit. They have about enough time to get this Uber build at least a little bit up. Get ready for a push, but after that there's no stop anymore. And I don't know, it's gonna be a tough one either way. They have no choice. Loopy weak early would have been a really nice entry kill, but it's not coming that easily for them.
It's now just 45 seconds left as the Uber comes in. Yon tries to go forwards. It's almost a kill onto Loopy, but the Hounds have just managed to run all the way back onto their second. They are not in the danger zone of the enemy Uber, and they have one of their own, as they could just sit back, relax. 30 seconds. They have so much time. You can see Swift, they just have to push anyway. They have to dry push into an enemy Uber charge, get the force in, get a wipe. You're pretty much hoping for Iroh to drop here, and Danny going down is not a good start. The positioning out of Swift, it's almost just not enough because Yon is down as well. The Uber's popped out. You can see where Swift are standing. It's one kill into P2DC here. That's all they have to play for because Poison is dead as well. There has to be magic to come out of these two scouts right now. It's decent damage onto a lot of players. Shappy, can he hit the shots? It's so hard for him to get taken down. And in the end, it's 2-1 on map number 1 here for the Hounds as they take Granary in a very, very close game.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one really for Swift. A lot of this just came down to some DM differences, right? So many plays were so close to working, and smart plays to make maybe as well, but they had to win like a 1v1 on the way there as well. And those just like barely ever so slightly were just mostly in the favor of the red team, and it just adds up over time, losing out on these like close fights, like the middle fights as well a lot of the time, right? Smart plays by Swift oftentimes, but just really didn't have enough energy left in them to actually just get these last few kills, and over and over and over, that just adds up to just losing so much time that they badly needed at the end.
Yeah, that was, it felt like, honestly, it crumbled a little bit towards the end. It was hard. We've got some logs here we can take a look at. As I mean, honestly, this looks like a 30-minute Granary game that was kind of low scoring, right? You look at the damage, you look at the kills. It's pretty much as you'd expect, to be completely honest. The medic logs as well, they're basically even. 1 drop for Gregory, none for Iroh, but yeah, it's
that Gregory drop was devastating. You want to hold against that. The rocket, I don't think it was a direct hit on him. It technically like missed him point blank, but the wall was already there. He was just backed up too much in the corner to be able to afford holding against that, and it just like backsplashed into killing him instantly. You want to play for the best possible Uber there in this situation, but it just backfired in the worst way possible, and that's got us staying really bad.
It's interesting to see what happens now, right? Because honestly, towards the end, it kind of just felt like P2DC and Matty just managed to have a little bit more aggression. Their just bombs were just a little bit more successful. Loopy and his scout friend and Ollie, they started to win the 1v1s versus Shappy and Sneaky, and this makes it harder going in onto this map as well. Honestly, I think one thing we can maybe compare about when we are going into Sunshine, going on to next, is maybe taking a look at the Demo Man. This is a very Demo Man map. It's Fancy versus Yon, and honestly, I was expecting Fancy to do a lot better versus Yon than he actually did. It's surprisingly close, as Yon actually out-damages him, out-kills him as well. But, yeah, on a map like Sunshine, it's so important to have a really good Demo Man. I'm really interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire for sure. This is, what now, the 4th map, basically, these two teams have back-to-back-to-back in the last week or so. A lot of small intricacies, I think. You'll probably just catch up on what your opponent team is trying to do a lot more than maybe some others. And it just makes a big difference here. Notably, these two teams played this map before. Or just a week ago as well, in the head-to-head match they had before. That was the map Swift won. This is their pick once again. Granary was the Hounds picking that map. But even that was really, really close. And there was some crucial mistakes that time from the Hounds, just in decision-making more so than anything else, on the main call maybe. That costed them some good opportunities to be able to keep up with the Swift team that just had the stamina in the end to do it. With the map, just we've seen just now, that sort of stamina, a little bit lacking maybe, but I have seen Swift being able to catch up with these sort of rosters before, of course. It is not impossible for them. They have to deliver today, right now, to be able to do it, and it's coming down to the Hounds, I think, in comparison, right? I have seen them mess up big time on this map before. They need to have learned from their mistakes.
It is a map where it's very possible for a lot to go wrong very quickly, but in reverse as well is it's just, I mean, pushing onto Sunshine last. It's so hard. We've seen it happen before, right? If there's any place where you see round resets, it's on Sunshine last. How would you push into this?
Yes.
It's so difficult. And it's sort of being able to capitalize enough off of the momentum that you can get off of a potential wipe on the second or or on mid as well. And it's, I mean, can you ride the momentum enough? Honestly, we saw the Hounds, they struggled with that a lot, especially in the first half of Granary. They only really got there in the end through some really big heroics out of their team. When they just had the solid advantage push, it didn't happen for them. And maybe this is time. Maybe
Much
it's
like
that moment.
Granary, although in a different fashion, I suppose. These flanks laid out in a way that you have just, if someone doesn't cover something for a second, someone can sneak behind for the backup. These two teams we've seen very keen to do that with players like Loopy, for example, on the server, but also Sneaky and the likes. It's got to happen one way or another. Both teams need to be ready for it. It could have been like hugely game-swinging backups each time. I guess one of them was, in fact. Just the other one fell a little bit flat at the end. They got to be really careful with the flanks. They got to cover everything when they leave from literally anywhere, or it's going to go real bad, real quick for any of these teams.
I wonder what Loopy can do on a map like Sunshine. It's a little bit harder to get behind sometimes, but other times, especially if you're on mid.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, right? With how they're like pushing and where they're pushing from. Like getting uncontested past one guy is easy enough. Getting uncontested past the entire combo is a whole different story. Gotta time that well, gotta just gamble correctly where they're coming from, maybe. Because you just can't easily rotate from one entrance to the other without being noticed by everyone on mid.
It's yeah, it's hard, right? Like to get them to make the flanks work. It can't happen. We've seen so many backcaps of someone just running through dungeon, until last when the enemy team is pushing, they just forget to send someone through dungeon. You send a scout and you just win the round. We've even seen a medic do it in the past as one of Poland's glorious gifts to TF2 is grab a backcapping on medic.
The classic.
Which still just waiting for Gregory to add up to the server. Right now, just sitting in
Turkey
spectator.
takes a while.
Yeah, unfortunate. But, I mean, everyone else is there. You know what I don't like about this map, DuMmTm?
I could imagine a lot of things, but I guess you have something specific in mind.
My least favorite thing about this map is how the mid-fights have ended up working.
Really?
It's how the mid-fight meta has evolved, where you just take the enemy side, and then towards the end of the middle, you have two scout combos, and they're both sitting in the wrong choke. They kind of have to take scout solos into each other, and then they, awkwardly try to trade sides as well as two scouts try to DM chat on each other, and it doesn't work, and it's awful.
I don't know. I find it very funny
like
when people forget which side of mid they're on at the end, and just like one team confidently walks into second because they know they can cap that point, and the other one just sits there. Wait a second. We can't back off at all. We have to go into them. Always leads to some grand old times on these mid fights. We'll see if that slips past the minds. I mean, like I said, everything's a weak excuse these days, but I guess with this weather, something like this is not unheard of, I would say.
I've made the crucial mistake of not having a glass of water next to me, and I am a very sweaty boy right now. We're gonna make it through. We're gonna do it anyway. We're on map number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen. It's still Season 42. It's still the TV1 quarterfinals here. We've got the Hounds, we've got Swift, and we're rolling onto map number 2. Map 1, Granary, went the side of the Hounds, and this time around, the early middle aggression here out of Poison is going to do decent damage onto Fancy. They're actually not going to get taken down here. It's only Poison dead, and the positioning out of the rest of Swift is absolutely nowhere to be found. They're just all the way back on second. They're 2 players down, which means the Hounds, they're just rolling this through Cafe already.
This is a dangerous start for Swift. They can't go down early once this is looking in Hounds' favor. I feel like they're just going to run away with this one, with how it's been going so far. This match, it's a nice little kill of Danny there late, just overstaying his welcome a little bit. Sneaky trap by Yon, also not finding any victims on the second point. They're poised to take some aggression to second. There's one coming through by Massive fast power, past the scout. Not going to be all that easily. No second attempt really coming through. No one else dares just now, but this early in this dynamite, they don't have to take the big chances just yet. They can take the sweet time here and just figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, it's this is the angle, right? It's like you have this pyro out of Sneaky, but does it really push out? It doesn't, right? He's just gonna sit here, walk back, and he's spy checking for now. I mean, honestly, like, how do you break this, right? I'd expect Prem teams to be able to break this. Div 1, I'm a little bit more skeptical. We've seen it happen before, right? As especially with this pyro, with this sentry gun, it can be so hard. You need so much focus damage, coordination. Getting this sentry gun with this positioning, Peter tries to go in, and unfortunately, it's just not really going to happen for him. It just denies so much of what the red team wants to do to be able to push in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you go. I don't know what you do. It's I'm excited to see.
This is what we're watching this for, right? Yeah, we don't have to know this. You don't have to know this in chat either. It's on these guys to figure it out, because they are the ones that want to win the map. We just get to see them squirm, and for now, Danny is done. Just waiting. He actually wants to make a play, but He knows better than to just blindly follow up on one rocket all the way into the second point where everyone's waiting for him. Maybe there's smarter place to make than that. Maybe that entails a spy. Peter certainly is going to test his luck, but well, there's no spy checking going on in terms of going spy and seeing what's happening. They still have the pyro, and that's probably just going to do the job just fine.
Yeah, this pyro does so much work, especially in coordination with the sentry gun as well. You try to shoot the sentry gun down, the pyro just reflects the rocket, and yeah, it's hard to get it. You can see Peter TC, he made another attempt. He just goes down instantly. And so right now, Swift, honestly, you can just run down the clock here. They're sending in a single soldier here, trying to get onto Iroh, but he gets air shot. Dog actually gets really low, but Iroh manages to live in the end. As Danny is gonna go down. Gon has found a kill into Loopy in the meantime, but unfortunately, it's just, yeah, it's hard to get in, right? It's so difficult. Once again, I don't know how many times I can say this.
Yeah, the pyro pushes up a little bit as well, just to put some fear into their eyes that something is gonna happen, but it's hard to assume Swift with pyro, with the gun still on the field. Like, basically like 4.5 people pushing up, and they're not gonna leave last at all. Danny on the spy, man played this class plenty of times. For now, it's just gonna sit and spawn, see what's happening. Not much to see. There is in fact just a vanilla lineup on the side of the Hounds, but I mean, what does it really mean for their chances to play into this, right? You're gonna do some soldier sacks with this, or you're just gonna have an exchange straight up and try to rotate. That's pretty much the only real options they have in their hands right now with the standard class lineup. Which one are they gonna opt for?
I mean, which one do you go for, honestly? The sniper kind of doesn't work. It's hard to get in and get a decent angle. The spy should be getting checked with this pyro up as well. They're just going to opt to keep sending Peter in. He's almost going to make it work, actually, surprisingly well this time around. But unfortunately, once again, he just gets one rocket onto Gregory here, and he's going to keep it up. And, yeah, he's going to stay alive. And once again, oh, actually, a kill into Fancy here. This is a really good angle for Swift if they're ever going to push out, probably right now. No Demo Man makes it really hard for the Hounds to hold here. Sneaky's still on the pyro, though, and this is going to make it a little bit harder, but it's a kill into Loopy as well. Now Swift have 2 kills. They're walking onto second Ollie, going to try to make something happen, but there's no real positioning out of either team. Honestly, Peter finally gets a kill into Poison. The bomb is coming in onto Iroh. Doesn't really make it happen. Gets the force out, though, but it's 2 soldiers down for Swift right now, so this is going to be back on last. They haven't popped the Uber, and that push out of them, honestly, that ends in great success.
Something in deep inside me hated the fact that the pyro was the one pushing up against the scouts and not the soldiers on the left, but someone had to be with the medic. Sneaky did his job there just fine. It got them this far anyway. And they get rewarded with a little bit of force. This much time spent on enemy second, basically, when you're trying to push out and you're still having to go the long way around with the Uber, feels a little bit just like too much time spent doing nothing at all, but as long as this works, it's all still what time well spent here in the end. I gotta speed up things though. Are already on 60. They're quickly getting super right now. Backup camp, not very subtle, but maybe just distracting for the spy or for the second bomb. They're on the combo.
Oh.
All 3 of them swiftly denied. Neither of them getting anywhere close to their intended destinations with covering everything we mentioned. You have to be careful on this push out. They have watched every single thing. Found the 2 soda bombs, one behind, one on combo. Didn't let the sniper slip past them either, and now they're getting rewarded with not just second, but pretty much a completely free midpoint for their taking.
I was going to say that, honestly, if your Swift is a very real angle where you just don't push into second there. Only a minute left if they don't find those 3 kills. I don't think pushing into second, getting that cap is worth it. Just reset the round and instead walk back to middle for free. Much rather take that over having to risk pushing onto middle, but fortunately for them, they managed to get those 3 kills. Now they don't have an advantage, but they're looking to push anyway. Getting those 3 kills got them the mid-fight as well, and now they're in a good position. They're walking in the cafe already, but now it's kind of in the reverse, right? How do you break into second here if you are Swift? Bombing in Danny's a decent start. Gets a lot of damage onto Iroh.
No.
Iroh drops all the way down to 7, but he doesn't quite pop it. Danny and Poison both go down, and he just barely holds.
Oh no, Peter on the medic as well. He just got anti-tested to the flag, and that's the drop right there. The Demo Man spams at the perfect time to make all of this happen. Just such beautiful timing for the Hounds. Backup play for Sneaky. Doesn't even get off the ground at all. And suddenly, it's the Hounds in full control of the match again.
That is an absolute round saver coming out of the Hounds. It's so much momentum. It looked really good for Swift. They just barely didn't get that force. And that would have probably just been a round if they get that force right there. It's so easy for Swift to capitalize, get in a round off of it. But instead, now the Hounds, they find themselves in such good position. Iroh has 100% Uber. It's a Sneaky onto Sniper who's going to try to make some magic happen. But I just wonder, is it enough? The Uber gets popped in so early when you're pushing in onto last. You can see them already. They're in lobby. Granary is only about 40%, but Uber comes in before they even turn the corner. It's a DuMmTm bombing in. The sentry gun's dead immediately. Scout walks onto the point now, and the enemy players on the blue side, they're nowhere near the point, but it's a kill onto Peter, actually. There's so many 1v1s happening all over the place. Sticky's still on the point, but it's just Jon alone, because Shappy's taking 1v1 behind point, and he's not shooting the right players, and instead, it's going to be one round on the board for the Hounds.
For a good second there, it looked like the Hounds might have been lost in the sauce, chasing the heavy auto into lobby and still struggling to get any kills, but Matty at the end really just putting this all back together. Gets the big damage from behind him. The Scouts just clean it up from there. Well done to the Hounds. Gets the lead once more. This could be a tough one right now. Swift needs to come back swinging on this mid-fight.
Yeah, it's I want to see some aggression, some spunk out of these team, out of Swift now, because they've been on the back foot a while. They've had a bunch of plays, but honestly it has to affect the mental a little bit negatively. How do you respond now? You have to come back into it. You can see now, Sunshine at middle, classic. Just trading sides, waiting for something to happen, but Poison has high ground, and he does so much damage. Finally gets killed, but you can see the health on the red side is abysmal. Iroh is so low, has to go back into the enemy flower, and instead, the positioning actually right now working out for Swift at the moment. It's a kill onto Fantasy as well. No Demo Man, no anyone from the Hounds, it looks like just Matty Azien alive, and they just did such a good job with the high ground. The Hounds, they couldn't get in at all, and that is a clean victory for them.
Alright, we criticized there was a little bit of the different map 1, and I guess maybe in the first 10 minutes of the game here as well, but Swift finally just being able to show the quality of players here a little bit, just hitting everything they need to on the mid-fight. Certainly is a good way to get things started here. With Iroh going down 8 as well, this match is gonna just go straight into last. Loopy and Ollie on the off-class is trying to hold something together on Engineer, and Sniper watching the right side there will actually get rewarded immediately with a pick. And this put things to a little bit of a halt once more. Now you have to choose. Do you wait for the spawn army? Do you have time to wait? Whatever the case, they don't want to wait either way.
They're gonna have to find some frags though. The Scouts coming in now. Kill onto Fancy. It comes out a little bit late, but the Iroh kill is absolutely huge. Now Granary just has to stay alive. Doesn't really have players with him. Danny's in a respawn queue, and Jon is just with Granary. But Matty, he's managed to find the flank, and that's exactly what you want out of your Roma there. Matty gets that kill onto Granary, and it's huge for keeping his team in the game. It's actually just one player up, actually. Just Ollie finally gets some spawners. But Granary, all he had to do was live, and unfortunately just chose the wrong way out. Matty read him like a book. And it's a slight ad here for Iroh. I don't think it's enough to push off of, but maybe it is with that Danny kill. Jon still does not have heals on second. They're just not pushing off of it. Instead, they're staying on last. It's a poison kill, actually, as well. So now, 2 soldiers down. I feel like the Hounds, they should be looking to go forwards.
This should have been all so good. It actually might be Shappy with the back cap. Goes off point, but he had time to just double jump back on it after shooting Matty just away from himself, from the point, and into tight scoreline. This was looking like it was gonna just be a real bad time for Swift coming up, but Shappy just shuts up us right away here, immediately gets this going in the back up, and somehow no one noticed.
That's huge for the mental of Swift. They've had a couple round tilters, there's a bunch of mental tilters. Getting that back up in the way that he gets it as well has to lift the spirits of the team so much. Now oh, the aggression onto Iroh here this time around gets him down pretty low, but Jon as well eats so much punishment here out of Matty Azien. PTTC finally follows up, and it's decent damage already, but Ollie goes down as well. 2 players down for either side. The positioning seems to be in favor, honestly, of the Hounds, but now finally they've backed off. Decent damage onto Iroh. He's very, very low, but there's no real follow-up coming out of Swift. Gregory's so low, and in the end, it's just one scout. Shappy gets taken down. It's a wipe for the Hounds. They managed to get the Uber charge out of Iroh as well. Giant advantage. They should be looking to push this into last here.
This is once again the playmaking just crumbling a little bit for Swift. I think it was Sneaky walking up from under behind him, tried to make a big shot on the demo man, didn't hit anything in the first shot, and no one could push up in time to really work up the distraction either. The timing wasn't there. Shappy at least makes up for a little bit there. Getting a nice little shot onto the soldier. How much it's gonna help, however, we'll see. With 5 he can still push, but might have struggled with this, but maybe the Hounds are better off with 5. Have to awkwardly use early though against a lot of damage coming their way.
They use early and those traps out of Yon, the flank out of Poison, and suddenly everything goes from bad to worse for the Hounds. They're all just dead. Now Peter up on the spy salvage angle, as he's gonna move into dungeon, but he doesn't have time, honestly, to get this last cap instead. He'd have to repurpose himself. He's going in the Granary. Surely nobody, surely, someone turn around. No,
stuck in the
gets
wall.
stabbed, and he's still alive, gets piped down, but that's good enough for him. The mound kill onto Gregory. He just cannot catch a break.
This is such a tough game for the medic here, and I mean, props to the Hound. They're making it really difficult for him. Everything you do can just get punished like this. It's got to be incredibly frustrating, but you got to stay focused because there's just more happening. The entire way into mid, in fact, all of the Luton just needs to stay focused. He get the bombs on the medic, Poison Daddy, all of them going down for it in the end just to get the one kill they need. But it's going to set them back so far in map positioning for that.
Yon getting taken down so late as well means that he's not really going to be up on last. Just try and set up. Gregory just sitting on sniper, trying to find something. Might as well do something while you're not healing, right? Tries to find some angle of a kill, but now it's a pyro up on Sneaky. And it's, honestly, it's not even a disad, right? But the Hounds just had a little bit of an advantage. That must feel so bad.
Oh,
I feel like the
someone's gonna
Hounds
be
are
on
just
disad
winning all
here.
these 1v1s. All of these bad situations. Feels like Swift should be getting away with it, but they aren't.
Someone's definitely on this head here. Iroh once again on the crit streak. It didn't end so well last time, for what it's worth. We remember these things, but it's better if they don't. We'll see. For now, the building isn't that great on the Hounds anyway. In fact, it's not at all, actually. They just try to have the fact that crit streak is here be enough of a difference maker on the building, but I don't know. That's not how that works at all, actually.
Yeah, it's the crit is going to come out now, surely, on the demo man in just a second. See, Iroh just kind of buffing up his players so far. Ollie peeking as well. As the demo man, he's loading up, he's charging up the sticky bomb. The crit should come out any second now. Any second now. The crit comes out. It's killing Shappy already. But the Uber comes out in return. It's 2 frags for the Hounds. Actually, decent start. But there's still a sentry gun up behind the point. They're going to have to find a way to deal with this somehow. Decent damage now. Dispenser going down. But Loopy taking down. This Pyro is doing so much work. So much damage is coming out of Sneaky here. But it seems like, honestly, the Hounds, they managed to make it work. There's so much damage now coming out onto Swift. Matty does not find a kill, but it's just one scout trying to block the point. Poison and Danny are going to have to do so much work to help with Chappie, and it's maybe happening here. Fancy Elf is going to get taken down, but no, Ollie, he's just going to walk up to the point. They're barely there in time, and it's no, he finally gets taken down. That was,
You
wow.
beef just barely any of that jump just now that the sort of 2-point, and you just lose the round instantly. No one's going to block this in time. That was all so necessary, only to not lose, and they're still stuck in crit disad here anyway, despite all this effort here. They started so well as well. They didn't look that threatening at the beginning. Fancy just kind of shot rocket, they dealt damage, got 1 kill, and then suddenly they realize Poison's going to die from fall damage as well, and here's round 2. Once again, the crits is coming in. They didn't quite forget about it. They have stuff set up in the back. And the Pyro's still there, heavy in the back, just out of sight for the crit pick. And suddenly, there's no more crits left in them.
Yeah, Fancy's doing his best of Eve impression right now. He's getting ready for Eve to show up at LAN in August. So unfortunately, absolutely nothing comes out of that crits. They actually just lose 2 players. They have full disadvantage now. The crits is on 50%. But I mean, the counter Uber is going to come out of Gregory already. Just one Loopy tries to run into last. It doesn't really get anywhere. As now they're walking onto second here. They still have this Uber to play for. Honestly, they don't really want to pop this. They just kind of want to use this as a response to the crits. If you could just get away, not popping this Uber charge, not dropping to a crit sticky either. It's looking very good for Swift here. They're walking into Flower now, trying to get in. Sniper coming out of Loopy. Maybe might do something here, but the crits! And he gets a headshot onto Gregory! He gets another drop, and unfortunately things just go horribly, horribly wrong for Swift there as they lose 3 players. It was so nice! It was so good! They had the crits ad!
I mean,
just all down the
they're
drain
already
once
playing with
again.
fire, not popping to begin with, right? You know the crits is coming one way or another. Maybe you just want to go fast, close to distance here, but they really wanted to just cut this close, right? Use on reaction to the crit streak being popped. But they're gonna get badly punished for that, and it's just barely scrapping by with some late kills here. They got Iroh immediately as a counter action. They were already in, so you better be able to get the medic without an Uber, I guess. But it's once again all they have to show for right now, and there's not much up on last. Yon doing so much work to keep this alive right now. Poison gets 1 more. No funny early kills to Gregory, and once again, they actually find themselves an advantage. It just actually has to matter.
they're gonna have to make their way in onto middle without sort of dropping an Uber and like getting decent positioning in the post Uber as well, which is actually really hard on this percentage for them, right? They only have about 30-20 ad hit. Getting onto second, or getting into mid rather, getting decent positioning is really difficult. Sunshine, so much ground to cover. It'll be interesting to see how they do it, if they even do it at all. So they're walking into Flower once again. They seem to be positioning here so far. 95%. Gregory basically has it right now. They're going to have to dot push this. They're going to have to go onto Iroh. The Uber comes in, and the Uber gets flashed onto Yon here. Decent damage, but Matty Azien is behind. One kill onto Loopy. They haven't found anything else, and Spat Cap going on in the meantime. Now it's hard for Swift because they're getting pulled in so many directions at once. Matty does such a good job pulling everyone back. Gregory is surfing a rocket. Iroh has Uber now, and they're looking to come in and push.
Alright, Scout's already back on mid, just all by himself. Shappy's so far ahead of the rest of the team there. All alone on the medic. Good shots, I guess, but no time for any single more of them. Iroh will stay alive. One down each, but I mean, ultimately, it's just kind of worked for the Hounds, right? They slowed things down so much. They're forced back to second. They're the ones with Uber at now, just able to take such an easy entrance against a team that is well aware of that fact, giving them all the respect to get this point pretty much for free.
It's, can you hold it now for Swift with 80% on Gregory? The Uber comes out of Fancy pretty much immediately, but the pipes onto Sneaky is so good. The pipes onto Gregory is so good, and the point pressure as well is so good. And that is a very, very fast, very decisive round victory towards the end there out of the Hounds. They're up 2-1 now with 11 minutes. So it's getting very dangerous here for Swift.
Yeah, I think in these playing conditions, ending this match in 2 maps sounds very alluring for the Hounds, so getting this over and done with quick certainly is probably just even better than in any other day. Let's see if they can keep this going. So I've had some nice stuff on the mid-fights now, finally the last few, but they need to keep this up the long way around here, right? Let's see how it goes on the mid-fight of the game. Maddie trying to just take this nice and early over the point onto the medic. Doesn't quite hit the rockets needed. There's a second one coming through as well. They're hitting good damage, just not on the same target. Only get Shappy, and that might just not be good enough.
They just don't have the positioning on mid anymore. They don't have the players to hold this. Loopy going down as well means that Swift, they should just be content to leave a single scout behind. You can see Poison already in the valley. They're walking forwards onto second. Sticky's up for Bill here, trying to make something happen. Fancy Elf doesn't quite make it go for anything. Nobody stands on the Stickies, and it's a round, not a round, it's a second capture for Swift. It's a decent start, right? But it's even Ubers now. The sniper up on Loopy once again. Hopefully, finally, Gregory gets to use an Uber charge and use it to kill the enemy team.
And that's what you love to see here, actually, able to mount some offensive pressure. It's not a position Swift has been in a hot minute since they got around this map, basically, right? Spending so much time on the back foot. We talked about it time and time again already this match. Can't be good on the mental here. You've got to break here on mental block at some point and get something successful going. Both teams with the sniper is one way to try, but it feels like you're leaving it up to coin toss as much as no one wants to admit this on their own sniper, right?
It's just, but like honestly, what else do you do? Trying to break into a Sunshine Lost stalemate? You can't let the round timer go down if you're Swift, because it just works so much more in the favor of the Hounds. They can run this down for 5 minutes, go into a mid fight, and just not get completely wiped. It's perfect for them. So instead, you can see Sneaky up on the sniper here, trying to snipe through left side. He finds Loopy, but doesn't hit the shot. Just gets barely grazed there by body shot instead. So now he's going to reposition into lower. Finds an angle here into PTTC, but doesn't quite get the frag. Now they know he's here. Loopy as well, repositioning, gets caught in the act, but doesn't get taken down. Now, once again, the sniper just up. Iroh holding inside it is Spencer. He's jumping up and down. The real thing you do is you crouch, so it's harder to shoot. Instead, now Sneaky's just going to keep posturing around Loopy as well, just playing kind of a game of cat and mouse. Honestly, trying to fight this sniper is so hard. Where do you go? The angles are so bad.
Well, they're trying to open things up a little bit with just damage, right? DuMmTm Soldier trying to open up the angles. Some more for the sniper to take a deeper peek into the last point, but they gotta be careful as well. There's a sniper waiting on the other side, so it's a tough one to make happen with. You just gotta hit the big first shot here. Loopy in the health where he could get one shot by a quick scope, but it's him hitting it instead. The Devil Man is gonna have to go down instead on Swift, and like you said, time wasted is not something Swift can afford anymore.
Losing your demo man just means that they just have to run right back on to second hitting. You see, actually, Sneaky, he's running to the forward spawn here. He wants to go on to a different class instead. I'll swap over and see what he does. No, he's just back onto Scout. Okay, he's back onto the Scout. Gives up on the sniper. Loopy still very much on it. So he's riding his own sniper copium train. So he gets the demo man kill. He's going to keep on going.
I mean, on the defense, it's much easier to do, right? You can sit further back. You're much safer. You don't have the need to go on the initiative, and people will sooner or later give you some sidelines to work with, right? They have to come your way very much, and they can afford to just wait 2.5 minutes and go back to mid. So all on Swift with this Uber push going straight in here, finding it very, very quickly. Arrow out of the dispenser makes it rather easy. Gun going down is actually huge for a recontest as well.
Yeah, this is a bit of a weird fight here. As I mean, the gun is dead, but the soldier's trying to go in here. It's a lot of damage onto Iroh. He hasn't gone down. Neither the rest of his team's not really with him. Honestly, Matty's so low. But unfortunately, the positioning's just not quite there out of Swift. They're not able to capitalize. They lose 2 members. And the Hounds now looking to push in because Loopy's just in onto Gregory. And he's found the frag here. Yon is up on second, but he's not really with any teammates. Doesn't have friends with him to really hold this. Honestly, the pipe on the Ollie, though.
Oh, where's Shappy going? He's threatening the backup. Ooh, looks like he is just staying in lobby for now. Wants to stay alive more than he wants his backup. I think wouldn't have worked with this little health either against 4 people, but put some fear into the Hounds' eyes. They are, in fact, playing it safe, not going to second just yet, but they have the UAD. They could take the risk. I have seen them crumble with a minute left on Sunshine Last. They can't make the same mistake again.
Especially when you have an Uber advantage, right? Like, crumbling now would be such a disaster. It's 7 minutes, and you just keep on holding this. There's no reason to really push. It's so much safer to just let the round timer sort of run out, go back to mid, and you're fine, you know?
Something deep inside them is yelling at them to use the Uber, and you just know it. But the other wolf inside of them is the smart one that wants to stay on last.
There's a devil and an angle, and I have to pick the angle here. Stay on last. Now it's just a minute left. The sniper is up. They're not going to push. They're just going to sit back, relax, take a bit of a break. The heat as 1 minute. Swift have got their Uber back up pretty much. Sniper still onto Ollie this time around. As the Uber comes out of Swift. They're just going to go for the trade here. They don't really have much time. They're just going to go in. Sentry gun now taken down, but the Uber has not been popped out of Iroh. No positioning has been gained from the Swift Uber. It's just Yon in, but no frags have been found. Just 1 kill onto the Sentry gun. It's not enough. Decent damage now. It's 1 kill onto Matty AZN. The Uber still not popped out of Iroh. It doesn't have to pop it. There's no real reason to. The bomb comes in under Danny, but he doesn't quite hit his mark. As there we go. Now the damage comes across and the Uber is popped out of Iroh, but the cleanup bomb out of Peter DC does a lot of work. It's 3 dead now for both teams, actually. Iroh's in spawn. Fancy trying to get the stickies back onto the point. The bomb is in immediately. He's so low as Iroh. Can Yon hit the pipe? The cleanup is coming in out of poison. He finds 2 kills, but it's not enough. The round resets. We're going back to middle here. This works in such favor of the Hounds.
This has got to be so frustrating. Swift has to work so hard only to get an okay chance at last. All this time spent and still nothing to show for it. The Hounds in the winning position. If this comes down to a slow last time again, they can just play this game until the timer reaches 0 and they will be the winners. This is so much pressure on Swift to do well in general on this mid fight, obviously to start off and actually finish off the food this time around as well, but just crumbling so far.
It's a lot of damage onto Iroh early on, but it's just a little bit far. An overcommit here. Iroh just barely managing to stay alive. Swift commits so many members to try and get that frag onto him. They just don't get him. Instead, now they don't really have any positioning. They lost both their soldiers. They're trying to stay in onto this middle here, but these scouts are nowhere near the rest of the team. And so Fancy is going to try to bomb in onto Gregory. Doesn't find anything. He actually gets really, really low here. No damage onto Gregory means that he's still alive. It's a demo man down now. And honestly, Swift, no soldier, no demo man. They should be looking to repush this. They are. They're going into Flower here. They have to keep the momentum going. 4 minutes now. 1 soldier on top here. Shappy's contesting the point already. Peter DC taking decent damage, but so is Poison. He's on to the point now. Loopy low as well. And it's a kill onto Peter DC. Ollie's kind of caught here, but there's no real follow-up. He gets finally taken down here. Danny's in the air. Gets demolished by Matty. The Uber advantage is gone now for Iroh. It's 2 players down on both teams, and I think we're just going to stabilize here.
Oh no, Hounds not done with this yet. They're just going straight into the choke. They're not done at all. They want to just get this win and they want it now. However, this is more bark than bite on this part for the Hounds. Use one early. Uber just kind of awkwardly runs away. Sneaky is the only one in afterwards. After the Uber ends though. Key mistake on Swift. I mean, they have to keep pushing, but I guess everyone on just a different call there. Then the scout could cost them dearly here. They need all the numbers they can afford. And suddenly Hounds is just going in for round 3 on the mid fight, and that looks very happy with their choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's working out for them so far. Killing to Shappy as well. The positioning is horrible here for Swift.
Yeah, and he doesn't hit stick landings well. Had to rip the rocket on the landing, not beforehand. Beefs that a little bit. That's another kill going there with the Hounds, and suddenly this has just gotta roll their way, right? The second they get them stuck on last, it's already bad on second either way, but if they somehow get this point too, this is just a game over.
It's a tiny advantage here for Gregory. They kind of have to play off of it if you are Swift. 3 minutes now on the round timer. There's a Fancy sitting in the enemy lower lobby here. Pizza TC's found 1 kill, but both soldiers down now. Fancy's just gonna waddle his way back out of Flower here. That's just a decent start for Swift. They have to push on this. They're down around 3 minutes left. You have to go, like, pretty much right now off these 2 soldier kills. Get some high ground on middle. Bomb your soldiers in. But look at the damage coming in on a poison. The rest of his team's not quite there, but they get the force onto Iroh. But now the soldiers, you can see in this post Uber, it's gonna be miserable because they're only effectively really 3 players on middle here. They have to catch some players, but Sneaky, he's not with the rest of his team. It's a kill onto Iroh now. The bomb comes in out of Matty. Doesn't find the kill. Scout of Ollie is in onto low ground. Does not get anything. Instead now, the pipes out of Fancy gonna keep Swift out of middle. But importantly, Gregory is still alive. Fancy bombing through. He's in onto Valley. Does so much damage. It's 1 kill onto Yon. The scout runs through and kills him as well. Gregory goes down. Fancy's in onto the low ground, and that bomb is huge out of the Hounds. 2 minutes left now. They lose both their demo man. Honestly, Swift, when they get their medic back up, they should just be looking to keep on fighting this. But the Hounds are doing such a good job just delaying over and over again.
It's like they just are so aware of the game set here, right? Swift has to keep going, and they just preempt them every single time. They're in a position where you could slow down, and maybe you should as well in some arguments, but they're the ones just going in instead, and Swift is never getting to do the plays they want, because there's just always another fight going, and Hounds is just ever so slightly winning most of them anyway. They're just able to perform in this, whether this late into the game still, as it is basically at the beginning of the match. There's even coming up for the first as well. Swift coping on the crits quick, but I think it's just a little too late now. They're losing so many players in Zuba already that they knew they had to force out, but you cannot do all of this and then also be in a good position against this supercharge.
I mean, Gregory's doing his very best to run away with his crits. Actually gets the kill onto Matty. But once again, I mean, as you're saying, it's a minute left. Fancy's in onto last, and he just pipes down Gregory. Oh no!
Alright, well, this might be a little bit over at this point. I think it's a fair shout to make here. Question is if it's 3-1, and if they bungle this one on the Hounds, it's going to be a little bit sad, to be honest. They're in already, they don't wait for Uber, they don't need to wait for Uber, they can't wait for Uber anyway with this time left. However, beefing some DM fights here, not the most crucial ones to lose, I guess, but kind of a disappointing ending, I suppose. Oh, is it? Never mind, Fancy just gets everyone baited on the point, blows them all up, and this might just do it here. The last block comes through, Arrow goes down, the melee attacks from everyone.
The sword? Yeah. Unfortunate there for Swift. There's only 11 seconds left. They managed to hold it, but unfortunately, they were just never quite able to convert their leads. Every single time something seemed to be going in their favor, it just went horribly wrong. The Hounds, they managed to come out on top. 2 close maps, but in the end, it's going to be the Hounds winning both maps 2-1. 2-1, as they will advance to the Division 1 semi-finals versus Wandum, to be played sometime, I'm sure.
Soon, maybe. But yeah, just great stuff out of the Hounds, right? It was still a close game by the end of it, but they just had the longer breath, right? Really, as I think all you can say, especially for map 2, they just look like they can run circles around, so desperately trying to keep pace by the end.
I mean, we can take a look at some logs. I just don't like what I see. Honestly, once again, I think it kind of just has to come down to the 2 drops to 0, right? Gregory, both those times he went down could have been rounds, and unfortunately just not able to convert. The rest of the logs, they look like sunshine logs. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean,
what do you want me to say?
The drops are obviously bad, right? That's no excuse for that, of course. But like, even if it wasn't drops, they are just emblematic of like what went wrong on Surf, right? Gregory was just the target, and they just got to him every single time they wanted to. It just was such a strain on them to like play the game the way they wanted to, and then also have to have an extra eye on the medic on top of all of this, because it just wasn't otherwise doable for them. And I mean, props to the Hounds, right? They found a weakness and they exploited it to the fullest.
Yeah, good stuff out of them. Once again, shout outs to the community for making sure that Gregory gets to go to land. Swift, obviously, managed to fulfill their fundraiser pretty much immediately, which is great. If you have some money left over, I think I have to do my solemn duty as promoting, sending an NA team to sending Frotech to a European land so they can win. Maybe actually don't give Benny money, and then we'll win.
On a second thought, who knows?
maybe keep Frotech home, and then we'll be sure that Europe will win land. Just a thought,
genius
guys.
move. And then we call ourselves the world champion.
That's so
like
true,
America.
actually. That's so true. But yeah, I mean, these are some logs. I don't know what to say. We have them up on screen.
I don't know.
Congratulations,
Tell the story of the
Hounds.
game. Yeah, this sure was a game, all right.
It was.
And it's just like I said, right? Swift just seems to have run out of breath much sooner. And I mean, in a way, can you blame it on the other side when it's like a bunch of Brits being able to keep pace this much, who are like #1 people to melt once the degrees hit like over 30? That's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, but there's obviously potential stuff to work on for the future. It's gonna be exciting to meet them at LAN.
It's
cool
obviously it's going to be a little bit of a different lineup, unfortunately,
Yes.
with the changes they have, right? But hey, it won't be a bad roster either way. We can just find to Div 1, a little bit more left to be played in Div 1 now. Wandum is patiently waiting. I saw some Wandum people in chat.
Yeah.
They were seeing what's up here, who they have to prepare for, what they're up for up next week, potentially. So that's going to be happening as well tomorrow on the good old match day, Thursday, where everything's happening. We have Premiership, League of Shadows against New Panzer, 21:15, as per usual, same time here once again. Should be a really good one here. It was a nail bite last time, if I remember correctly, right? Between those two, it was...
Yes.
Yeah, a 5-1 game here. Golden Cap included, 3-1, 2-1 total. To the side of New Panther, they got the higher seed here with a little bit of a funny game in week 7. I actually saw that wasn't defaulted in the end, although I might have to tell someone that it should be, even though it doesn't change anything. Just for clarity's sake, that you can't play with 3 marks. But yeah, a lot of other games as well. Maybe I'll take my peek at one of those as well. Every division is just playing their games. It's like Div 1 every mid-game. 3 no games, 2 open games, just whatever your heart desires. There is TF2 for your level to watch tomorrow, and definitively the Prem game to watch as well, for sure.